Welcome back to the Get Off the Treadmill podcast for practice owners and leaders, where we are obsessed with how to build a successful practice and get a life too. Hi, I'm Chuck Blakeman, and we're going to dive into another topic that helps us make more money in less time, get off the treadmill, and rehumanize dentistry by giving everybody their brain back. Today I'm talking with Jacob Puhl. He earned his MBA from Xavier University and has now owned and served as CEO of several seven-figure businesses. Among them, he started Firegang Dental Marketing in 2010, building that company up to one of the most successful in dentistry. He left that in 2016 and helped thousands of dentists build practices new patients love. In 2016, Jake met Marc Cooper, and they founded the Dentist Entrepreneur Organization, DEO. As current president and CEO of DEO, Jake works exclusively with emerging market group dental practices by building a community of like-minded group practice owners. Jake gives group practice leaders the resources and support they need to move unified, thriving dental group enterprises by thinking like a CEO. Jake, it's a pleasure to have you with us today.
Yes, thanks for having me. I've seen some of your stuff online. I saw your TED Talk, which is really great stuff. So it's an honor to be a guest.
Well, thanks. Yeah, that was a fun thing to do in front of almost 3,000 people in Denver. It was a big crowd live. And you only get one shot at it. That was one of the harder things I did in my life, was that crazy TED Talk. It's much easier to talk for 3.5 hours than it is to figure out how to put 3.5 hours into 15 minutes.
Yeah, especially when you know what's going on YouTube to be forever, calcified.
That's right.
Changed. Yeah.
That's right. It's either going to be good on YouTube forever or it's not, but it's going to be there forever.
You did great. I thought you did great. It was good.
Thank you. It was a joy to put it out there. And the nice thing is 5 years later, I still believe it. So that's cool. Nothing worse than putting something out there that you don't believe in. Well, let's talk. We've got some fun things to talk today about. We're going to talk about the future of dentistry and DSOs. And I'd like to start, Jake, by helping people who don't want to have a DSO to relax, because there's been a lot of noise about this. I think the ADA put out some stats last year, which makes them a year old already, that something like 8% of practices are multi-location, and within 3 or 4 years, it'll be 38%. So there's no question that a lot of dentistry is going in the direction of multi-location and DSO kind of things. But I'd also like to say that those who never want to do that, they'll probably get a lot out of this podcast on how to work with that progress, but also to how to be one of the 62% who decides not to go that direction. Here's the fun reality. 0.4 of 1/100th of all dental practices have ever failed. That's less than 0.5%. You fail by getting arrested, losing your license, really bad stuff. It's really hard to fail at dentistry, and you will not get eaten alive by DSOs. So DSOs don't have to be your enemy. There's things you can actually learn from them. There's things you can do that they'll need to do, and vice versa. And so, it's a matter of, I wrote an Inc. article about 5 years ago. I write for Inc. regularly, and it was Your Competition Isn't, was the name of the title. If people need something else, they'll find it somewhere else, and you should say, God bless them, go there. And then figure out what you're good at and offer that. And it's not about competing with the next guy. It's just figuring out, what are you really good at, and doing that. So I just wanted to get that off the table. I feel better. I don't know about you, but
I appreciate that disclaimer. No, it's good.
Fact is,
yeah, no, it's good. I mean, I to be honest, I lose track of kind of the contention behind it all, because the world that I'm in, we don't experience a lot of that. Everyone's kind of bought in, and they're, using the future, trying to figure out ways to use the future to their advantage. And then I'd say quarter, I kind of log into Dental Town, and I am reminded, like, oh wow, this is a big issue to a lot of folks. It's a lot of, heated discussions on it, and I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
Yeah. There is a lot of emotional energy behind it that is all pretty much unnecessary. What do you want to do? Get really good at that. There's a great book out there for everybody, whether you want to become a DSO, 2 locations, or if you just want to be you and one other part-time associate, and there's 9 of you, and you want to do that for 30 years. Here's a great book for you to read. Bo Burlingham wrote a book called Small Giants. And small giants ask the question, grow or not rule? It's not a rule. It's a rule that only investor-owned businesses are required to follow. If you have investors, then you must grow or you will die because they will put their money somewhere else. Figure out what you want and become a small giant wherever you are. If you don't want to become a giant, you want to stay one location, 2 locations, 3 locations, and stay where you are and do that. And figure out how you can become the best, the legend that you need to be in your neighborhood or in your town or whatever size you want to be. Small Giant should be required reading by all business owners. So I think that'd be a great place for people to start is, why do you want to become a DSO? So give them some reasons why. We've already given them all the reasons why they don't need to. So let's give them some reasons why it would be good for them to do that.
Yeah, well, I mean, first, I think it's important to talk about, how we're distinguishing between all of these things. So a DSO technically would be the management company, the legal entity that kind of sits above or to the side of the dental practices, because non-dentists can't really own in most state dental practices. So even if you're, people say grow a DSO, really you could grow to 3, 4 locations and 5 locations and really never form that legal DSO. So personally, we always call them dental groups or multiple locations. And really, I mean, the question is why grow beyond one location? And there's many different reasons why or why not. Some of it is on the personal side because there's some people that are just wired to keep going and to conquer and it's about the journey and the challenge. And we do, and some of our members, as they come into the organization, we walk through a lot of the why stuff, why are you doing this? And some can't answer it. They're like, I don't know. And that's my own personal way of being too, is that I just am driven every morning to get up and just move forward and grow. So that's one thing. Another thing the reason people might find this appealing is impact. The more employees, the more patients you have, the more you're able to impact the world. So a lot of people grow multiple locations for more impact. And then finally, there's some doctors, maybe even a considerable amount of doctors, who want to move more into the entrepreneurial executive role and out of the chair, right? And so the way to do that is to build a company that's big enough to need a CEO and not just one dentist. So the major way to do that is to grow past multiple locations.
Yeah, I think I built 12 businesses in 8 industries on 4 continents. And it's just because my life question has been, why do what others can and will do when there's so much to be done that others can't or won't do it? So I'm always just looking out there, well, there's another hole, let's fill that one. And that's one of the reasons we got into dentistry, is we saw how ripe it was for changing the way we organize our business side of dentistry and how easy and how impactful. We dove in with both feet a number of years ago and have never looked back. But same thing, it's a disease, and fortunately, not a lot of people have it because entrepreneurs are kind of a crazy bunch.
Well, the interesting thing is, if you were going to ask that question to most people, they would say something like, well, you can save on supply costs by ordering in bulk, and there's efficiencies and scale and all of this. But to me, those aren't real deep heart level driving factors, because if you're trying to save on supply costs, there's many ways to do that besides going through the heartache of scaling a business. And so you can avoid all that. It's not going to keep you in it through the hard times. You got to have some really deep desire. And the people who are listening who have this will resonate and they'll understand. They'll say, yes, that's me.
Yeah, it's so true, Jake. My first book was called Making Money is Killing Your Business. And the reason it was called that was for that very reason, that people go into business, they go into business to make money. Making money is not an empowering vision. You need something much bigger to drive you. And my experience has been, people who have a bigger reason to be in business and making money almost always make a lot more money than the people who are trying to make money, for the very reason that it's not sustainable. It's not, especially when you're not making money, it's hard to go to work. It's hard enough to go to work some days when you are making money, if that's your only motivation. But what happens in 2007, 8, 9, and 10 when you're grinding it out? Yeah, we grew 400 and some percent between 2008 and 2011, and it was because we didn't have time for this nonsense called the recession. We had bigger things to do than make money. We weren't worried about making money. We were on a whole different level, and I think that's really a reason to do this, is you want to have a bigger impact in the world around you. I love that you guys work with the why stuff. One of the things that we tell people is that one of the dirty little secrets in life is people on earth are solving other people's problems, not their own. So if you're putting a DSO together to solve your supply problems and other really minuscule things, there's lots of other ways to do that. You should be doing this for some reason, some way to impact the world around you. Steve Jobs he said, I never sat around thinking about being the richest guy in the cemetery. I thought about what cool technology could we make next that would transform the world. And Bill Hewlett said the same thing around you. And that's what really should get us jazzed, is something much bigger than ourselves, where we give of ourselves by building something great. Richard Branson has done an awesome job of that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And on top of that, once you grow past, I'd say 12 to 20 employees, the name of the game is building a team. It becomes about a lot more than just yourself. And in order to build a team and get to that 50 most of our members are between either 20 to 50 employees or 50 to 125 employees, roughly. Some are up to around 200. But to build a team, you have to rally people and you have to get them emotionally connected to what you're doing, not just logically connected. And to get them emotionally connected, money just doesn't do it, believe it or not. So you're not going to have a big rally with all 45 of your employees and say, you know what we're going to do next year? We are going to make money. And no one's going to, they'll get a little excited about that if they make their paycheck goes up a little bit, but they're not going to come in on the days when it's snowing out. They're going to call in work. They're not going to turn down another job offer of similar pay that's a little closer for you. They're not emotionally connected to your vision, and so you have to have the why to get the team motivated beyond yourself.
Yeah, it's so much noise behind that, Jake. We've studied this a lot, and we work with dental offices from 6 people to 200 plus, with that same thing in mind, is how do we create teams of people rather than top-down hierarchies that tell people what to do, which is the emotionally satisfying, damaging to do this. And one of the things that comes out of this is they see that there's 7 different ways to motivate people, and money is actually, when you're paying someone commensurate with what they could similar, it falls to the bottom as the 7th. There are now 6 other things that are more important to your people that will cause them to stay. It's not about money. It's about, first of all, culture and big why. This is a moving train and I want to catch it. It's about relationships and recognition, education, and experience, and building time. Time is the new money. There's so many things that motivate people beyond the money itself. And the industrial age just did us no favor by teaching us that the one thing, when you use the word incentive, if you had people write down, give me an alternate word for incentive, 99 out of 100 dentists would write down money. And yet it falls to the bottom as the last one. So huge issue. And you're right, as you grow this thing, I don't need to make you another $500,000 this year, Mr. DSO owner. It just doesn't work for me.
That's exactly right. And so this is the kind of thing when we talk about growing groups, this is a whole different conversation, right? Than, DSOs are taking over the world and they're bad for dentistry and all those things. To me, I live more in the world of let's grow great companies. Let's go great companies, because at the end of the day, you will have a great service and product, which is patient care. And you have to start from the inside out rather than the outside in. And there's a lot of dentists who are doing dentistry and they love dentistry and know that they need to learn these things in order to scale and scale their impact. There's also a lot of dentists who are dentists by trade, but also deep down feel like entrepreneurs, and they feel they're great at this executive level thinking and vision. And so that the group realm is the best place to kind of come out of your shell with this, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I agree. So what are you seeing out there is, what's happening in the emerging group market? What do you see out there as trends?
Yeah, it's constantly evolving. There's different ways to look at it. When you say emerging markets, just for your audience, that's defined in many different ways. It can be defined by location number. Some people define it, 2 to 15 locations. Some define it up to 20 locations. And then you have like larger groups or mid-sized groups from 20 to 40, or then large groups of 40 plus, or there's many different ways to look at it. But typically the world that we live in is anywhere from the dentist adding their second location up until 10, 15 locations. And I kind of named the employee count. So there's a lot going on. I mean, one, the market is sophisticating. In other words, a lot of folks that have multiple locations now, they're getting pretty good at running a business. They're struggling. It's very, very hard. I think that a lot of what you hear out there is that, add locations and things are going to be okay. You actually increase the more you increase your complexity, and especially the more you increase humans in your business, number of employees, the more heartache and the tougher it is. So it's definitely not all sunshine and rainbows, but it's very rewarding. But I think people are realizing it's difficult, but and rewarding. And that kind of, there's a fervor out there that, of opportunity. So I just talked to one of our faculty members, Dr. Rich Evangelista, and he said that, every dental school he goes to, now they're not just talking about owning one location when they graduate. They've, on the day that they graduate, they're ready to own 4 locations. And that's, they're right out of the box. So that's all kind of the wave hitting everyone all at the same time.
That's great. What are some of the risks?
Well, so it's interesting. If you're a dentist and considering going down this road, or maybe you have 2 or 3 locations and you're considering growing, to me, there's 2 risks. There's one, and this is the duality of being an entrepreneur. There's no black or white answer, right? And you appreciate this. On one hand, the risk is moving too quickly, growing before you're ready, taking on too much risk, even though there's not, as you mentioned, the risk in dentistry is lower than other industries. All of the fears that keep people up at night. We have a program where we work with dentists that are looking at their second or third location, and I hear every time that they're more people are scared than they are, ready to jump forward. So that's one is taking on too much. At the same time, it's a paradox. The other risk is that you never step into your discomfort zone, and you stay in your comfort zone forever. And you never challenge yourself, and you just, live the easy way for the next 20 years. And it's like less fulfillment with that in my experience. So yeah. I mean, how do you decide, right?
Yeah. But I think that's an important way to go. A great way to go about this, Jake, is to ask yourself to wash it away and forget what is, and ask yourself what could be without regard to what is. And ask yourself, what would I like to see when I'm 75 or 85 years old? What would I like to look back and write as clear a picture of that as you can do? And I would suggest, from our perspective on the big why stuff, even wipe dentistry out of that picture to begin with. Write a clear picture of what you want for yourself and for your family, your loved ones, and the impact you want in the world around you. Just a half a page or a page and a half handwritten, which is really better. It changes our chemistry of our brains. And then look at that and say, what kind of practice, what kind of dentistry would serve me and us getting to that? To have those kinds of reasons to get into this is so much better than, I don't know, I got nothing else to do. I think I'll grow 16 of these things. I'll give you a great example. Lee Thomas, friend of mine here in Denver, he is now in his 80s, but he told me that he applied to dental school. The day he got his acceptance letter, he went out and mowed the lawn. And after he turned the mower off, he put his finger underneath the mower, and the blade was still spinning, and he nicked one of his fingers, needed just one stitch, wasn't permanent. But it was the day he got his acceptance, he cut his finger, and he said that day he vowed he would never rely on his hands for his income. Built 16 practices back here in Denver in the 70s, and a great example of someone who's motivated from a whole different perspective than just, I think I'll build 16. No, he had bigger things, and he had family reasons, all kinds of good reasons to do this. So there's a lot of risk to this, but I think there's a lot of benefits. Let me give one of my, and I'd love your thoughts on this as well, but I'd like to give one of my biases as to why someone with even one location might want to become a DSO. I have one client we're doing business advice with who is a one location practice, and they're becoming a DSO. And the reason they're becoming a DSO, they believe that there are other people in the practice putting even as much, in some cases, more commitment in a dentist, and they feel like they would like to have some of those people own a piece of the practice as well. So they're setting up a DSO so that the practice leader and some of the team leaders can actually become vested in that business. I think that's available, except a lot of medicine. And the reason I know the reason we keep people out of medicine because they don't know what they're doing. But I just love your thoughts on that.
No, I mean, first of all, we have definitely many people that come into our organization that want to grow a group or already have started growing a group because of the exact reason, the physical reason, an injury, whatever it may be. So it's a way to diversify your risk as well. And then absolutely one of the biggest challenges going forward that every if you have an associate dentist is dealing with is retention. How do you retain, talent? And in order to, create opportunities for those potential owner partner dentists that you're working for you right now, you have to have them. You have to have other places they can go. And so rather than watching them kind of fly off into the night and maybe even set up a location right next to you, why not be the one where you're partnering with them? Right, you're already working with them. So the more, obviously, the bigger that you are, the more opportunity that exists within your business. Absolutely.
But I see that also with people like practice leaders. There's one practice I can think of that has 45 people in one location, and the non-dentist runs the whole place, and the 7 dentists love it because they don't want anything to do with the business side. That person should be someone who is also locked down. A lot of data on this as well that shows that when you ask people to be engaged, they find it to be a phony thing because basically what you're saying is, hey, please work harder so I can run off with more money. Likewise, when you just give bonuses, you beat people to heck and you don't give them any good reason to be there. They don't get engaged. It's both and. It's what we call participation and sharing. People want to participate in building a great practice. They all ability to do that, even if they're not dentists, is a fantastic opportunity for them. That's my bias.
Oh, for sure. I mean, again, so here's the interesting thing. All of this is been very proven in growing businesses and other industries. Basically going from 1 to 10 million in revenue and 10 to 20 million in revenue. That's another kind of emerging market number. And all of these principles have been proven over and over and over again. It's dentistry. We're just starting to get into this in dentistry. So one great book is called The Great Game of Business by Jack Stack. And he talks about, how creating ownership within team members, but without a doubt, creating what's in it for me, a feeling of ownership inside the business, you will get better alignment and better buy-in and better performance out of your employees. So in order to do this, especially non-dentists, right? For anyone that's a non-dentist, that's crucial to the business. There's a concept, called handcuffing your top employees. It's not the best term, but meaning how do you keep them around forever? Well, you give them some kind of equity ownership in some way, and that's just a proven way to grow. And you need to be either, you do need multiple locations or a very large single practice in order to have these opportunities available.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. It's a lousy term. I think I don't want to handcuff people. I want them to have a good reason to stay and be positive to do that. Well, this has been a lot of fun, Jake. We're out of time, but I'd love for people to figure out how do we get a hold of you and how do we get involved with the Dentist Entrepreneur Organization network? How do they get a hold of you and how do they get involved?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for one, I would like to invite everyone on your podcast to our event, The Future of Group Dentistry, the emerging Future of Group Dentistry at the end of June 27th to 29th in Phoenix, Arizona. So we'll have a coupon or a $100 off code for your audience. As they type in treadmill, they will get $100 off. So then come and check out. Dr. John Coyce actually is going to be speaking about the future as he sees it with groups and his evidence-based dentistry, medical dental integration, teledentistry, patient financing, associate ownership models. Actually, we're going to hear from a bunch of groups who've actually built associate ownership models, and they're going to talk about those. And then what I'm most excited about is we have some DEO members who are going to talk about the trials and tribulations and lessons learned of going from 1 or 2 locations to 5 or 6 locations and beyond. So that's where you're going to get the juice. So anyway, I'd like to invite everyone to that. And then, of course, you can search DEO Dental Group or deodentalgroup.com for more information.
Awesome. Well, there you have it. Puhl and the Dentist Entrepreneur Organization, get a hold of them and learn more about how to grow and be a DSO, and he'll give you both sides. So thanks, Jake. This has been a lot of fun.
All right. Thank you.
If this podcast was helpful, please subscribe by computer or by phone, or connect with us at www.gottsummit.com, 2 T's, GOTT summit.com. That stands for Get Off the Treadmill. We have those summits quarterly for dental practitioners only. Or connect with us at www.chuckblakeman.com or email us at grow@cranksetgroup.com. Let's get off that treadmill. Let's get into the participation age. I look forward to seeing you in the next podcast. Thanks.